I am completely rejuvenated to an escalated level of optimism after starting my journey north back home to Canada with the chance to see each country from a new light on a different route home. Terribly, I won't get far, and the dream of making it home may be cut thousands of miles short.
Absolute nightmare. My motorbike is in Costa Rica. I'm entering Nicaragua. This is absolutely fucking terrible.
I'm going to tell you a sad story. I'm going to share with you one of my greatest regrets. Quite honestly, I'm not excited to, but it's part of the story. Regrettably, a decisive part. Like most sad stories, it starts off happy. I feel like this is important. You can't have sadness without happiness. Otherwise, how would you know just how much shit you're in without anything to compare it to? I re-entered Costa Rica after reaching the most southern point of the trip at the end of the road in Panama. I plan to take my time as my list of things to see and do in Costa Rica is still extensive. I have zigzagged my route throughout Costa Rica to allow myself to say that I have managed to see a great deal of what this country has to offer. And honestly, that says a lot. This place is gorgeous and has a lot to offer. Doing it motopacking has let me get pretty far off the beaten path and has led to one of my most memorable afternoons. While exploring some of the back roads through the low-lying jungles in the east, I met a group of kids who were excited to invite me into the village. I do my best not to pass on an opportunity to meet locals or decline an invitation. Plus, experience teaches me that kids are some of the best guides you can depend on.
Para mí?
When I was young, I didn't know how good I had it. Now that I'm older, I know just how gifted kids are at making the most out of every moment, and every time I have the chance to be reminded how easy it is, I jump on it. Part of the reason I set off on this trip was to rekindle that curiosity, that thirst for exploration. Who better to look to help practice this than a group of kids making the most of the day? As adults, being in an influential position over kids, we often forget how much we can learn from them. As often as kids wish they were grown up, I find myself wishing to be as carefree as I once was. This played a big role in why I took off on this adventure. An incredibly joyful afternoon spent goofing around with these kids was a perfect summation of what this trip is all about. Once satisfied with my explorations, I looked north to Nicaragua. My head was in the clouds as I jubilantly floated my way across Costa Rica. Maybe that was part of the problem. But either way, this is where the happy part of the story comes to an end, and my dreams of finishing this trip come crashing down to earth.
Absolute nightmare for the trip. So here in Costa Rica, or exiting Costa Rica. I guess I didn't have a paper when I entered. It's supposedly the same paper that I should have had when I originally entered Costa Rica. Then again once I left, and again once I came in, and now exiting is the first time that they discover that I didn't have this document of whatever sort. So, my motorbike is in Costa Rica. I'm entering Nicaragua. It's a fucking nightmare. I don't know what's going to happen. I gotta wait. There's paperwork and shit like that they gotta take care of, and then I have to pay a fine, and they think that it's gonna cost $500. This is absolutely fucking terrible.
Originally, I was told I'd be without the bike for a few days, which sucks, yeah, but far from the end of the world. Plus, I'm right down the road from San Juan del Sur, where it's pretty easy to take your mind off such headaches.
I don't know what's going to happen. I gotta wait, and then I have to pay a fine. And
After those few days I was told it would take to clear everything up, authorities at the Costa Rican border then revealed to me that this could take months.
It's a fucking nightmare.
My motorbike, it's a fucking nightmare. In Costa Rica, I gotta wait. It's a fucking nightmare.
In reality, my bike was taken from me and impounded. In the eyes of the government of Costa Rica, I had illegally smuggled my motorbike into their country, and that is punished with an overwhelming amount of bureaucratic hoops meant to break the will of anyone hoping to retrieve their property. If not for this maze of paperwork to send you off empty-handed, then it's the number of fines, cost of lawyers, taxes to be paid, registration to submit, and the cost of impoundment that will leave you shaking at the knees. If I had a league, then my days were spent chasing it to the bitter end. Most of these occasions ended up with me convinced that I was going to retrieve my bike, only to be left once again stranded at the border, empty-handed and heartbroken. The rest of the time was spent with a god-awful, shitty feeling of dread in my heart. Empty hostels, embassies, lawyers, San Jose, night buses back and forth from the border to the capital, the impound lot, false leads and crushed dreams. And of course, paperwork, and paperwork, and paperwork, money, paperwork, and a lot more money. Then, after 6 weeks, 4,500 Canadian dollars later, Rosa was back. I'd be lying if I told you I was ecstatic. Honestly, this was my first move. I put Rosa up for auction, hoping to earn back the hit I took in the struggle. But, after some wise words from those who meant most, I reflected on why I went through the trouble of fighting to get her back. It wasn't for the bike, it was for the dream. I set off without the slightest idea of what I was getting myself into. Yeah, this sucked. But I realized I don't want this to be what defines the trip. The drive to succeed and returning home is very much still alive, and the moment that I set my sights back onto the finish line, I knew I made the right decision.
Oh, fuck, that wasn't easy.
Mexico is one of my most favorite countries to travel. It has it all, and my plan is to take as big of a bite as I can handle. And maybe a pinch more. This bureaucratic mess I got myself into is one of the toughest challenges of my life. I could not have done it without the help of several incredibly kind people, and I would love to take just a second to acknowledge their kindness. My Costa Rican parents, my brother Enrique, who was my bestest of friends in the hardest of times. John, you're the man. Pablo, your selflessness is something I aspire to, and Elvis for always being there. Though it felt like rock bottom, you guys lifted me up, you took my greatest regret and turned it into just another wacky adventure. I love ya, and I'll never forget you.